Please be respectful to the speakers. They've signed up. We're going to give them their attention. No more disrupting them. We will ask you to leave the room if you do interrupt while they're speaking. At the end of that, if it continues, we're just going to move all public comment to the next meeting. So I'd like to continue with Andrea Stamrick, and she will be followed by Stephen Brunson.
I'm Andrea Stamrick. I live in Frisco. I wanted to just say my piece quickly and then we can keep on moving. I wanted to thank you for giving parents and students the option of not wearing masks in summer school during the summer conditioning, as well as parents here in this building tonight. Moving up the cutoff from fall to June the 4th was a real welcome change. I would like to ask you again to consider allowing all of our middle schoolers to use lockers in the coming year. A backpack with a Chromebook, lunch, multiple binders, and for instance, art supplies ends up weighing more than 25 pounds. I actually weighed it. And my daughter doesn't weigh like 100 pounds. There are lockers available for sports equipment and band, but all our middle schoolers need to be able to store supplies without use so that they aren't injured carrying everything around every day. Thank you very much.
Stephen Brunson, please approach the podium, state your name and address. You'll have 2 minutes. You'll be followed by Jacko Lumens.
My name is Stephen Brunson. I reside at 15572 Western Trail in Frisco. I have 2 grandchildren who are students in your school district. A number of years ago, a bunch of us parents and grandparents turned over our children to the care and custody of your school district. And when we did that, we were possessed of a single overarching expectation. The expectation was this: at 12 years hence, you would return back to us a completed product called a graduate who had maximized his or her individual potential to achieve academic excellence. Use it all up, academic excellence. And why academic excellence? Because academic excellence happens to be the coin of the realm when our children go into the labor market in a capital-driven system that they use to negotiate with prospective employers to attain employment. High positive correlation between high academic excellence and good-paying jobs. The inverse is also regrettably true. And yet, we didn't bring our children here to have their minds programmed with anybody's personal belief system or core values or political philosophy. And yet the critical race theory, the 1619 program project, the Lincoln Project, something called Courageous Conversations curriculum, they are all nothing but political philosophies. They are not fact-based. They are political philosophies. Their objective is to poison our children's relationship with their God and to detach them, separate them from the great American experiment. And yet what we find, we have experience right now, that these philosophies are rooted in our school district. And we're here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, to tell you point blank, we're not going to tolerate having these philosophies go any further in our school district in any way, shape, or form. Not happening, okay?
Please.
In 1941, as the Japanese fleet steamed away from Pearl Harbor after they consummated their dastardly deed, Fleet Commander Admiral Yamamoto convened all the senior
Your
staff.
time has expired. Thank you.
Say again?
Your time has expired. Thank you. Please approach the podium, state your name and address, and you'll have 2 minutes. You'll be followed by Kevin Wick.
Good evening, Yaku Points, Cowboys Way. Thank you to the board and the district for allowing me to address you. I come and stand before you tonight because of my history in fighting child sexual exploitation in 53 countries around the world and all 50 states in the United States. The trend that we have seen in this nation has in fact entered Frisco. So I charge you tonight as a board to pay very close attention to transparency, particularly in your curriculum. I'm asking you to be transparent with your curriculum to the point where parents know exactly what's in the curriculum. The trends that we see in this nation and that we fight has entered Frisco. Evil is in your midst. And the way we program a child is through sexual immorality.
That's right.
And it's a subtle but slow fade.
Ma'am, I don't know who keeps saying this over here. You need to leave the meeting, please. There's There's somebody that keeps bursting out.
Let us not see Frisco, Texas embrace the 1970 obscenity exemption statute, where things can be slipped into a curriculum without a parent knowing what is exactly taught in the classroom. Language matters. We move culture through language, and language is shifting in our nation, but it's shifting in Frisco. And I'm not coming here from a particular political affiliation. I'm coming from a child needs innocence perspective. I charge this board in this era where we want equality, and we want to talk about equal rights. What about the rights to a child to innocence? What about the rights to a parent to have certain conversation at home and not in the classroom? This is a charge to Frisco. I've seen this across this nation and 53 countries around the world, and I'm telling you the trend is pointing in the wrong direction in Frisco, Texas. May I remind you, Frisco was built on family. The Star was built so families can come together and watch football. This will rip the fabric of family in this society apart if you continue to have certain curriculum where parents do not see it.
Your time is expired. Thank you.
My name is Kevin Witt. I am the Texas Director of Mass Resistance. I live at 900 Boarding Heights Lane. I have been a Frisco resident since 2005. And at one time, the Frisco ISD was seen as one of the most prestigious school districts in the state of Texas. And I am sickened and disgusted by what it has become. Y'all have allowed critical race theory to be presented. Y'all have allowed LGBT indoctrination to be taught in your school systems. And don't shake your head and say you haven't, because Nancy Jo Lambert sits over there at Reading High School and teaches all kinds of LGBT indoctrination and refers to herself as a queer. Now, why does anybody need to know her other? I'm not done. I know that you think you're a dictator. I know you think you're a dictator, but this is not China, this is the United States. And I am not done.
Please continue, please.
Thank you. So anyways, it's not anybody's business, her sexuality or who she has sex with. It is not your school board's responsibility to teach an LGBT indoctrination to the students. That should be done at home, not at school. Only thing y'all should focus on is academics, period. Not critical race theory to teach kids to hate white people. And the same librarian has written books on white privilege. Well, you know what? I'm white and I'm damn sure not privileged.
Next speaker is Cindy Holmes. Please come to the podium, state your name and address. You'll have 2 minutes. You'll be followed by Jenna Mass-Kuchera.
Hi, my name is Cindy Hans. I live on Yellowstone Drive in Frisco since 2002. I retired from teaching in Frisco ISD 5 years ago. I dearly appreciate all that the district pays attention to for all of our students and staff needs when making decisions. We can take great pride in the diversity in our district, and all students and staff members should be made to feel welcome in every school and classroom. I'd like to also acknowledge all the hours of professional development that our staff members work on every summer, since teachers work more
That is against the law. I'm not leaving until you throw her out of here. Let me in. Until you throw them out for dogs for me. I'm not leaving. I will not leave. They're doxing me.
We're done.
Do you know how many times I've had death threats by the LGBT mafia trying to kill me because of idiots like that? They're doxing me. I'm not leaving.
Let him stay. Let him stay. What law is he breaking?
What law is he breaking?
No.
Film it. Film it. Film it and send it to the media. Get away from me.
What law is he breaking?
What? Don't touch me! Don't touch me! Do not touch me!
Get out. No, thank you. Get out.
This is what the school board is all about. We can't have a place. Let her stay. Let her stay. This is what you're elected for.
Is this for real? For what? What's the crime? There's no crime. What's the crime? I would like to report kidnapping for what? This is a public forum, not trespassing. It's a public forum, she's not trespassing. And there's constitutional rights. What are laws and constitutional rights to you? What did y'all sign up for? To protect them or the people? Yeah, it is actually. People wear badges to get their chance to voice their opinions.
Item I, consider an act on nomination for Texas Association of School Board Tasby Board of Directors.
They canceled public speak. Yeah, we did. We'll move it to the next meeting.
For this item, as you may recall, last month you nominated me to continue on the TASB position 10A for 3 years, and I accepted that nomination. However, good news, and however you want to look at it, Frisco ISD has now become a large district for the second year in a row as far as TASB's terms go. So that means that Frisco, from this point on, until we go under that threshold for 2 years, we will now have our own seat on the TASB board. So that's a big thing for us. For y'all to do is if you would approve for me to be the nominee for Region 10E, and that way I can give 10A back to Region 10 with the possibility of having another role or another district within Region 10, which we have 82 districts in Region 10, and that gives the opportunity for someone to come on from another district. So that is all about.
Well, before I make the motion, I just wanted to thank you, Debbie, for the countless hours of time that you put into being Frisco ISD's first and only representative to the Texas Association of School Boards. I know that it takes an inordinate amount of time from your schedule, and your passion clearly shows because not only your colleagues up here on the dais support you in those efforts, but clearly your colleagues also on the board of the Texas Association of School Boards do as well. And you've positioned yourself to quite possibly be the leader of that board at some point in the near future. So it is with great honor that I recommend the motion to nominate you, Debbie Gillespie, for the TASB Board of Directors, Region 10 position.
All in favor? Motion passes 6-0. Congratulations. Thank you. Item H, consider act on reorganization of the Board of Trustees. With that, I will take nominations for president. And I would like to go ahead with the nomination. I'd like to nominate Mrs. Archambault as president. Or any other nominations? With no other nominations for president, Mrs. Archambault is duly elected president by acclamation.
nomination for the office of Vice President. John Facey is duly elected to office by acclamation. Congratulations. And our final office, I will take nomination for Secretary of the Board.
Madam President, I would like to nominate Mr. Chad Reedy as Secretary of the Board.
We have only one nomination for Secretary of the Board. Chad Reedy is duly elected to office by acclamation. Congratulations. Okay, back to the business of the district. We are going to go ahead and move to item K, discussion regarding the 2021-2022 budget. Mrs. Smith.
Thank you. Good evening. So tonight is our official public hearing on the 2021-2022 budget. Most of the information regarding the budget you were given at your workshop on May 25th. I do want to briefly go over a few changes that have been made since that time before we open it up to any questions that you guys have or public comment. So between May 25th and today, the legislature concluded their 87th session. And one kind of surprise came out of House Bill 1525 in a change to the fast growth allotment. So this happened on the very last day of session. The allotment change we were expecting, the amount of money that it gave the district we were not expecting. So we did end up with about $10 million in additional revenue projected for next year out of that change to the fast growth allotment. Since Frisco is one of the top 5, I think, fastest growing districts in the state still. So I've kind of given you some verbiage right there just so you know how it has changed. But that was kind of the bulk of the revised revenue projection that I've given you. The bill also reinstated the GT allotment, which if you remember back in the previous session, they didn't eliminate the GT allotment, but they rolled it into the basic allotment. Well, now they've reinstated it in addition to the money that they rolled into the basic allotment. So that's giving us a little bit of extra money as well. So we're looking at about $10.8 million of additional revenue that we weren't projecting when we had our May 25th meeting, which is great news for Frisco. What we did not want to do was go in kind of at the 11th hour and allocate all of it. We want to make sure that we're really thoughtful about what we do with that additional revenue going forward and make sure that we're planning for it long term in a way that's appropriate for our needs. We are going to, however, recommend a few changes. So I've included those in this presentation. The first one is an on-site employee health clinic. So this is one of the items on the list that did not make the cut in the first round. As you all know, healthcare costs are going up again next year for those that participate in the TRS active care plans. One of the things that we've been talking about doing for the past 6 months or so and working, we've got a partnership now with Children's and UT Southwestern that we're working on to provide an on-site employee health clinic that can provide free or low-cost health care, kind of acute, like urgent care type things to our employees. So that cost has been included in the budget for you. We also are looking at increasing the teacher raise by $300. So in the previous version, it was $18.50 for a teacher raise. Now it's $21.50, which brings the average teacher raise percent up to about 3.5%. The rest of all staff will still get that 3% raise. This allows us to increase our beginning teacher salary from $56.2, which is what we originally had in our compensation plan draft, to $56.5, which we think will kind of bring up that lower end, our beginning, 0, 1, 2 year teachers closer to the market median. Any questions on those before I move on? The other compensation piece that we're recommending changing is we're recommending one additional one-time payment to staff. Remember last summer we paid out what we called the CARES payment. So that was the coronavirus appreciation and recognition of effort stipend is what CARES stands for. So that we paid out last summer for those employees that kind of worked with us through the onset of the pandemic and kind of pivoted on a dime and shifted everyone to virtual at the end of the year. We would like to continue to appreciate employees who have stuck with us through this past year and done all this great work that we've done. So this payment would be one time, paid out in September, and it would be for employees who were employed on October 1st, 2020, and remain employed through the whole school year and until August 30th, 2021. We will make an exception for employees who are retiring from education from May, over the summer. The payment would be equal to the greater of 1% of employees' base wages or $250. Any questions on that piece? And again, this is a one-time payment that we're recommending, so that revenue will be used this year for that, but then will be available in our financial plan going forward to allocate to other things. And then the last change that we're recommending is a small increase in the substitute budget to help us pay for some substitutes for special ed positions, things like diagnosticians, and then some clerical positions too that we don't currently contract with ESS for. So to summarize the changes, I've given you 3 columns in this table. You can see where we were with the May workshop, the changes that I just described to you, and where we are in this near final proposal. So we do still have about a week left that we can make changes to this. We don't anticipate recommending any additional changes, so any changes would come from recommendations from the board. Like I mentioned, we do have this additional revenue available to us. We will, thoughtfully consider any additional requests that, maybe didn't make the list of recommendations this year that we feel like as we get into the fall are really needed, and we may bring those to you as amendments in the fall. Also, I would like to point out that any surplus that we generate next year, since we are adopting a surplus budget, we're going to talk about during our budget workshops next year how to allocate that to future compensation. So we would like to start looking at adding on, extending some of those employee incentives and things like that we have money set aside for. So here is just your total near final proposed budget by fund. Remember, you are required to adopt the budget for all 3 funds. Here's your breakdown by function for the general fund. As you can see, as is normal for us, the majority of our money goes towards instruction, just over 64%, with the next largest category being instructional support. We talked in our May workshop about benchmarking and about how, we stack up to peer districts in terms of these functional areas. So this is right in line with where we would expect our budget breakdown to be. And then again, just looking at those another way, this is spending per student. You can see the dark blue is the 2021 adopted budget, the purple is the projected actual for this year, and then the light blue is the proposed budget for next year. Included in the presentation link that I sent you, you guys have these documents. So these are all hot linked if you want to go back and pull up any of the documents. You've got a compensation plan draft, which is part of what you will be asked to vote on at the next, at the budget adoption meeting, in addition to our updated multi-year financial plan and detailed budget. That is all I have. If you guys have questions, this is a public hearing, so if you want to take comments on the budget.
I just wanted to thank you for the detailed descriptions you gave us during the workshop, as well as these updates. Just for those that are interested in digging in a little bit deeper but don't want to read hundreds of pages, you guys are going to publish the popular budget report again after we adopt later this month?
Yes, so the popular report is actually one of the things that we do with our comprehensive financial report in November. budget book,
Okay,
which will have a budget in brief section this year. So
Okay.
for people that don't want to read all of it, there will be kind of a small section at the beginning, just an executive summary.
perfect. Just wanted to get that out there. Thanks, Kim.
Fuller, do you have any other questions? If not, we will move to item L, which is the public hearing regarding the 2021-2022 budget. We do have four folks who have joined us to speak on the budget this evening. So we'll start with these 4 public comments, and then we will take comments from the floor. If you have anything to speak on regarding the 2021-2022 budget, we'll invite you to the podium once these 4 have already gone. So the first